I'll probably start off with the question why you believe we need an ethics of love. And just to give context, you've said on LinkedIn, my PhD and I'm quoting you here. My PhD and continuing research draws from philosophy, theology, the arts, and sciences, and deals with questions like who am I, how do I know who I am, and who am I in relation to the other. My academic research and more importantly, my clinical work experience has led me to conclude, and here's the important point, that we need an ethics of love to best understand these questions. And psychoanalysis practically provides a relationship setting for just that. So my question probably would be in two parts, like a bipartite manner. Firstly, generally, why do you think we need an ethics of love? And then specifically, how does the idea of love, which, correct me if I'm wrong, probably traditionally were dealt in like metaphysics and philosophy, but like from Plato to Socrates or whoever, and how does that relate to psychoanalysis?
Okay, so the first part of the question is that we particularly need to think about the question of the ethics of love in the 20th coming into the 21st century. So it's a question for modernity, although it does have roots in ancient Greek philosophy and literature and also non-Western philosophies. But given the development or the evolution of ideas, of the Enlightenment process, of various revolutionary, socio-political, historical, cultural movements that have happened with the era of modernity, coinciding also with the breakdown of humanistic values and ideas around how we can form societies based on human rights. That was really broken down. Well, I would say in terms of like a really serious knock to that with Nietzsche. And then following Nietzsche, the avant-garde movement, which is, of course, extends way beyond philosophy to the arts in general, but also psychoanalytic thinking, which has informed modernist art and literature.
Certainly.
But also the shift from structuralism into post-structuralism, which is about understanding society not purely from just a social science point of view, that actually creates and generates problems around ideological stagnations that have effects, untold consequences that can make situations worse than what they were intended to be. So one of the main thinkers I'm thinking about here is Michel Foucault. He was part of this shift from structuralism to post-structuralism, in which he was concerned with how discourse, language itself, socializes us, and that through that there is a certain kind of power, energy that can be accredited to ways of thinking that problematize ideology. I don't want to go into that too much. The general point is that from structuralism to post-structuralism and from modernism to postmodernism, there's been a whole deconstructive ethos around breaking down the various elements of society and culture and language to the point where it's very difficult to have a philosophy or a metaphysics around what is a self, what is love, what is beauty, what is purpose, what is meaning in life. That the deconstructive logic undermines and sabotages all that Western civilization has been built on, I think. So in the light of that, particularly in the latter half of the 20th century, and even more so now in the 21st century in secular society, we need to be able to think outside of religious institutions. What it means and how is it possible, which I think for your ordinary person, love means something that goes beyond pure brain matter, or beyond pure physicality, materiality, love and beauty and goodness. So around the end of the 20th century, phenomenology became an increasingly important discipline within philosophy to help with the deconstructive mode. In fact, the archangel of deconstruction is Jacques Derrida, said he owed everything to Emmanuel Levinas. And Levinas came out of this void of ethics to write two fantastic books, really, Totality and Infinity and Otherwise Than Being, in which he demonstrated very still philosophically and logically, but also from the heart and from the urgency around what is happening in contemporary society, the importance of respecting the difference of others and taking responsibility for one's own life in relationship to others. And while that, of course, we'd gone through massive amounts of understanding how human subjectivity is constituted in and through language, culture, class, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, etc., etc. Of course, Levinas has all of that in mind, but nonetheless, there is something beyond that which allows for a radical shift that's not just narcissistic, but is a really true, authentic space from which people can love other people.